The Galactic Council's alien forces couldn't stop Earth's determined defenders. Part 1 Captain John Miller yawned as he poured his third cup of coffee. Night shifts at the lunar observation post were usually quiet and uneventful. Most of his job involved monitoring automated systems and filing reports that nobody would read. Tonight was his 43rd consecutive shift without anything unusual to report. That changed at exactly 2:17 a.m. Earth Standard Time. The long-range sensors began to beep urgently. John nearly spilled his coffee as he hurried to check the readings. The computer showed multiple large objects decelerating from faster-than-light speeds at the edge of the solar system. John blinked, sure that the system was malfunctioning. He ran a quick diagnostic check. Everything was working perfectly. This can't be right, John whispered to himself, but deep down, he knew what this meant. Humanity was not alone in the universe, and someone was coming to visit. John's hands trembled slightly as he followed protocol and sent an emergency alert to Earth Defense Command. Within minutes, the observation post's communication screen lit up with the face of General Ruth Parker. "Captain Miller, is this some kind of joke?" she demanded, her expression severe. "No, ma'am. The readings are confirmed. We have multiple objects, definitely artificial, approaching from the outer system. They're big. Each one is at least the size of an aircraft carrier." The general's face paled. "How many?" 23 so far, ma'am." The next 12 hours were chaos. Every telescope on Earth and in orbit turned toward the approaching vessels. Scientists, politicians, and military leaders gathered in emergency meetings around the world. The public was not yet informed, but rumors spread quickly on social media. The objects continued their approach, moving into Mars orbit and then stopping. For 2 days, they simply waited there. Earth sent radio messages in every known format and language, but there was no response. Then, on the morning of the third day, every electronic communication device on Earth simultaneously received the same message. It appeared on phone screens, computers, televisions, and radio broadcasts in perfect unaccented English. "People of Earth, we are representatives of the Galactic Council, the governing body of civilized species in this region of space. Your world has been under observation for some time. Your rapid technological advancement and history of violence has been deemed a potential threat to galactic stability. You are hereby ordered to surrender all military capabilities and accept status as a protected protectorate species. You have 48 hours to comply. Resistance will result in forced compliance measures." President Lisa Warren addressed the world shortly after, her voice steady despite the extraordinary circumstances. "My fellow citizens of Earth, today we face the most significant moment in human history. We have confirmed the existence of extraterrestrial intelligence. However, their demands are unacceptable. We will not surrender our sovereignty. We will not allow an unknown power to dictate our future. We face a grave threat, but we face it together as one people of one planet. I have ordered our military forces to full alert status. I ask for calm, for courage, and for unity in the days ahead." The Galactic Council sent a single representative to the United Nations the next day. The alien called himself Zarkesh. He stood nearly 8 feet tall with green-gray scaled skin and yellow eyes with vertical pupils. Despite his frightening appearance, he spoke with remarkable clarity and calmness. "Your species has developed nuclear weapons and begun space exploration before resolving your internal conflicts," Zarkesh explained to the assembled world leaders. "The Council has seen this pattern before, and it never ends well. We offer protection and guidance until your civilization matures. This is not a request. It is the established protocol for all developing worlds." President Warren stood to address the alien directly. "We appreciate your concern, but Earth is not a child in need of supervision. We have the right to determine our own path, make our own mistakes, and celebrate our own achievements. Your protection is not welcome if it comes at the cost of our freedom." Zarkesh's expression didn't change. "Your preference is noted but irrelevant. The Council's decision is final. If you do not comply within the established time frame, we will be forced to demonstrate our technological superiority. Please understand this is for your own protection and the greater good of all civilized species." The alien departed, leaving Earth's leaders to prepare for what would surely come next. When the deadline passed without Earth's surrender, the Council ships moved into Earth orbit. They ignored all attempts at further communication. At precisely the moment the ultimatum expired, they attacked. Energy beams more powerful than anything in Earth's arsenal struck military bases around the world. Aircraft carriers in the Pacific, missile silos in North America, submarine pens in the Arctic, all were targeted with frightening precision. Thousands of soldiers died in the first minutes. The Council's message was clear. Resistance was futile, yet resist humanity did. Fighter pilots scrambled from hidden airfields. Submarine commanders took their vessels deep, waiting for orders. And in a research facility beneath the Rocky Mountains, Dr. Alan Hayes gathered his team of scientists. They expected us to give up after the first attack, he told his colleagues. They don't understand humans very well. Lieutenant Susan Grant was flying routine patrol in her F-35 fighter jet when the attacks began. She watched in horror as Edwards Air Force Base, her home station, erupted in flames. The radio filled with desperate calls and then went silent. Susan knew what she had to do. She turned her fighter toward the nearest alien ship, a smaller vessel that appeared to be a scout or support craft for the larger ships. Her radar couldn't lock onto it. The alien technology seemed to absorb or deflect radar waves. She would have to fly manually. Susan pushed her fighter to maximum speed, aiming directly at the alien vessel. At the last possible moment, she fired all her missiles and ejected from the cockpit. The missiles didn't seem to damage the alien ship, but her fighter, still moving at supersonic speed, crashed directly into what appeared to be the vessel's engine section. The resulting explosion tore the alien ship apart. As Susan drifted down in her parachute, she saw two more Earth fighters attempting the same maneuver against other alien vessels. One was shot down, but the other succeeded. 2 alien ships destroyed in the first hour of battle. It wasn't much, but it was something. Meanwhile, in Washington, D.C., military analysts were reviewing data from the downed alien ships. Dr. Hayes noticed something important in the energy readings. The alien shield seemed to fluctuate at regular intervals, creating a brief vulnerability. There's a pattern here, he told his team. Their defensive systems have a pulse rate. If we time our attacks precisely between those pulses, our weapons might be effective. The information was quickly relayed to all remaining military units. Captain John Miller, now evacuated from his lunar post to an underground command center, helped coordinate the new attack strategy. The first test came when an alien vessel moved over Chicago. 4 fighters, timing their approach carefully, managed to slip through the shield gap and deliver their payloads directly to the ship's hull. The alien vessel shuddered, lost altitude, and crashed into Lake Michigan. It was a small victory, but an important one. Humanity had proven that the aliens weren't invincible. The war would be long and difficult, with much of Earth under enemy control, but humans now had hope. And sometimes, hope is the most powerful weapon of all. The Galactic Council's alien forces couldn't stop Earth's determined defenders' part. 6 months passed since the alien invasion began. Earth was damaged but not defeated. The Galactic Council controlled most major cities and government centers, but they couldn't control the human spirit. Colonel Greg Peters wiped sweat from his forehead as he studied the map in his underground command center. The base, hidden deep in the Rocky Mountains, had once been a Cold War relic. Now it served as the heart of Earth's resistance. "What's the status on the western supply routes?" Greg asked his operations officer. "Still secure, sir. The aliens don't seem interested in small towns or rural areas. They're focused on population centers and military installations." Greg nodded. This was both good and bad news. Good because it allowed the resistance to move people and supplies. Bad because it meant the aliens were confident in their control. "And our new weapons? Any progress?" Mary Jackson, the Resistance's lead engineer, stepped forward. 6 months ago, she had been designing solar panels for a green energy company. Now she was creating weapons to fight aliens. "We've made a breakthrough," Mary said, her eyes bright with excitement despite her exhaustion. "Dr. Hayes was right about the shield frequency. We've developed a portable EMP device that can temporarily disable their technology without affecting Our equipment. Greg looked at the device on the table. It was about the size of a backpack cobbled together from Earth electronics and salvaged alien parts. How many do we have? Only 5 working prototypes so far. We need more alien components to make more. Greg turned to his team. Then we'll get more components. It's time to take the fight to them. Meanwhile, in occupied New York City, Kevin Barnes walked casually past an alien patrol. The former history teacher looked like any other human going about his business under alien rule. The aliens had established a curfew and work requirements, but otherwise allowed humans to move freely during daylight hours. What the aliens didn't know was that Kevin led the city's largest spy network. He collected information from hundreds of sources and relayed it to the resistance through a complex system of dead drops and coded messages. Today, Kevin was meeting his most valuable asset. He entered a small cafe that served both humans and the smaller alien species who could tolerate Earth food. He ordered coffee and waited. Linda Ortiz arrived 15 minutes later. She worked as a translator for the alien administrators. The aliens had quickly learned Earth languages, but they preferred using humans to communicate with the local population. They're bringing in new weapons, Linda whispered after sitting down. Something big. I heard them talking about final pacification measures. Kevin kept his expression neutral. Any details? Not much. But I copied this from the commander's tablet. She slipped a small memory card across the table. It's their patrol schedules for the next month and some technical specifications. Kevin took the card and tucked it into a hidden pocket. You're taking too many risks. Linda's eyes hardened. My parents were in Mexico City when the aliens bombed it. I'll take as many risks as needed. Across the ocean, in what had once been London, Zarkesh stood on a balcony overlooking the partially rebuilt city. As the Galactic Council's chief administrator for Earth, he had expected the planet to be fully pacified by now. Instead, resistance was growing. His second-in-command, a bird-like alien named Creve, approached with a datapad. Another transport destroyed, sir. That's the 3rd this week. Zarkesh's scaled skin darkened with anger. How? We swept the area for weapons. They're using our own technology against us. Somehow they've adapted components from damaged ships. Before Zarkesh could respond, a communication alert sounded. The large screen on the wall activated to show the face of Grand Marshal Vidorin, Supreme Commander of the Council's forces. Administrator Zarkesh, the Council is displeased with your progress. Vidorin's voice was cold and mechanical through the translator. Earth should have been fully integrated into the Protectorate system months ago. Zarkesh bowed his head slightly. The humans are more resilient than anticipated, Grand Marshal. Their decentralized resistance makes traditional pacification difficult. Excuses are unacceptable. I am arriving with reinforcements in 3 days. We will implement more aggressive measures. The screen went dark. Zarkesh turned to Creve. Prepare a full status report and increase security at all installations. Back at the Resistance headquarters, Greg Peters received Kevin's intelligence. The memory card contained valuable information, including details about the aliens' command, structure, and communication protocols. This is exactly what we needed, Greg told his team. They're bringing in their top military commander. If we can strike during this transition, we might create enough confusion to launch a major operation. Mary Jackson pointed to a section of the technical data. Look at this. Their communications use a quantum entanglement system, but it has limited bandwidth. If we could flood it with noise, we could blind them temporarily, Greg finished. But we'd need to hit multiple communication nodes simultaneously. The planning continued through the night. Messages went out to resistance cells across the world. The arrival of Grand Marshal Vidorin would be their opportunity to show the Galactic Council that humans wouldn't be easily conquered. 3 days later, Vidorin's massive command ship entered Earth's atmosphere, escorted by a dozen smaller vessels. The ship descended toward London, where Zarkesh waited with an honor guard of alien soldiers. What they didn't know was that 50 resistance fighters with Mary's EMP devices had infiltrated the landing zone. Similar teams were in position near major alien installations worldwide. In his command center, Greg Peters watched satellite imagery of London. "All teams report ready," his communications officer said. Greg took a deep breath. This would be humanity's first coordinated global strike against the occupiers. If it succeeded, it would give people hope. If it failed, the resistance might be crushed for good. "Send the signal," Greg ordered. Across the world, EMP devices activated simultaneously. Alien communications went dark. Shields failed. Weapons, systems crashed. In London, Vidoran's landing ship suddenly lost power, dropping the last 100 feet to crash heavily onto the landing pad. The resistance fighters emerged from hiding, using captured alien weapons to attack the confused escort. Vessels, similar scenes played out globally. For the first time since the invasion, humans had the upper hand, if only for a few minutes. In New York, Kevin and Linda led a team that captured an alien data center intact. In Sydney, resistance fighters destroyed the alien's southern hemisphere command post. In Moscow, Cairo, and Rio de Janeiro, human forces struck hard and fast. The aliens recovered quickly, but the damage was done. The resistance had shown that humanity wasn't beaten. As Greg Peters reviewed the operation reports, he allowed himself a small smile. They had a long way to go, but today was a victory. And on the crashed ship in London, a badly injured Grand Marshal Vidoran pulled himself from the wreckage, his alien features contorted with rage. "No more restraint," he hissed to Zarkesh. "These humans are animals and will be treated as such. Prepare the extinction protocols." The Galactic Council's alien forces couldn't stop Earth's determined defenders. Part 3 Grand Marshal Vidoran's arrival changed everything. In the weeks that followed, the aliens attacked with renewed force. They bombed suspected resistance areas without warning. They increased patrols in cities. They used new weapons that could detect hidden human bases. Colonel Greg Peters paced in the command center, his face grim. "We've lost contact with 12 cells in the last week alone," he told his officers. "Vidoran isn't playing by the same rules as Zarkesh." Major Frank Delgado, the Resistance's electronic warfare expert, looked up from his computer. "We can't match their firepower, sir, but maybe we don't have to." He pointed to his screen, which showed a complex pattern of signals. "Their targeting systems rely on a network of satellites. If we could jam or fool those satellites, we'd blind them," Greg finished. "But how?" "We've analyzed their communication frequencies. With enough transmitters broadcasting noise on those exact frequencies, we might overload their systems." Mary Jackson joined the conversation. "We would need hundreds of transmitters placed worldwide, all activated at exactly the same time." Greg nodded slowly. "Then that's what we'll do. Contact every cell we still have communication with. This will be our biggest operation yet." They called it Operation Liberation. For 2 weeks, resistance members around the world built simple transmitters using plans Mary designed. The devices weren't complicated. Most were made from modified radio equipment, but they needed to be precisely tuned. Kevin Barnes and his New York network placed dozens of the devices throughout the city, hiding them in abandoned buildings and sewer systems. Similar preparations happened in every occupied city worldwide. The plan was ambitious: activate all transmitters simultaneously, then launch coordinated attacks while the aliens were blind and confused. If it worked, humanity might regain control of several key locations. If it failed, the resistance would lose most of its fighters and equipment. Meanwhile, in Australia's outback, Dr. Alan Hayes led a team of scientists working on something even more important. In a hidden facility built into a mountain, they studied a captured alien scout ship. "We've made a breakthrough," Alan told his team as they gathered around the ship's engine. "We've figured out how their faster-than-light drive works. The principles are complex, but with Mary's help, we might be able to build our own." The implications were enormous. If humans could travel faster than light, they could potentially escape Earth if necessary, or even take the fight to the Galactic Council. The day of Operation Liberation arrived. Greg Peters gave final instructions to his commanders. "Remember, we'll only have about 30 minutes while their systems are confused. Make every minute count." At precisely noon, Greenwich Mean Time, transmitters around the world activated. The alien communication and targeting networks were suddenly flooded with garbage data. In orbit, their satellites tried to filter the noise but couldn't separate real signals from fake ones. Doran was in his command ship over North America when the attack began. Suddenly his screens filled with static and his officers reported that they'd lost contact with ground forces. "What is happening?" he demanded. "Some kind of wide-spectrum jamming, Grand Marshal," an officer replied. "We're detecting signals from thousands of sources. Find them and destroy them all," Doran ordered, but it was easier said than done. With their targeting systems blind, the aliens couldn't locate the small transmitters. On the ground, resistance fighters sprang into action. In New York, Kevin led a team that attacked the aliens' main communication hub. In London, another team targeted the central command center where Zarkesh worked. Commander Olivia Scott led the most daring mission of all. While the aliens were distracted by ground attacks, she and a small team used a captured alien shuttle to approach Vidoran's command carrier in orbit. "Remember, we need to get to their central database and back," Olivia told her team as they prepared to dock with the massive alien vessel. "We'll have 30 minutes at most." They wore stolen alien armor, hoping to blend in during the confusion. The plan worked better than expected. With communication systems down, the aliens on board couldn't coordinate a proper defense. Olivia's team fought their way to the ship's data center. "Start the download," Olivia ordered as they secured the room. One of her team connected a special device Mary had created to the alien computer. "We need everything they have on Council fleet movements and weaknesses." While the download progressed, they fought off several attempts by alien security forces to retake the room. When the device signaled completion, they began their retreat to the shuttle. "We've got what we came for," Olivia said. "Fall back to the extraction point." The team suffered losses during their escape, but Olivia and 3 others made it back to the shuttle with the precious data. As they detached from the carrier, they saw other alien ships moving to intercept them. "They've got partial targeting. Back online," one of her team warned. Olivia pushed the shuttle to its maximum speed, heading for Earth. "Just need to stay alive long enough to get this data to headquarters." On Earth, the battle raged. Some resistance attacks succeeded brilliantly, while others failed. In New York, Kevin's team captured the communication hub intact, providing valuable alien technology. In London, the attack was only partially successful, with heavy human casualties. As the 30-minute window closed, the aliens began to regain control of their systems. Resistance fighters retreated to safe houses and hidden bases, taking what captured equipment they could. In his command center, Greg Peters received reports from around the world. Despite losses, the operation had achieved its main objectives. They had captured critical alien technology and, more importantly, proven that coordinated global action was possible. The biggest prize came when Olivia Scott's shuttle landed at a hidden airfield in Iceland. The data she'd stolen was quickly transferred to Resistance headquarters. "This is incredible," Greg said as they began analyzing the information. "The Council is fighting wars on multiple fronts. Earth isn't their only problem." The data revealed that several other species were actively resisting Council rule. The Galactic Council's forces were stretched thin across dozens of worlds. This explained why they hadn't simply overwhelmed Earth with more ships and troops. Even more exciting was news from Dr. Hayes in Australia. Using components captured during Operation Liberation, his team had completed a prototype faster than light drive. "We're installing it in a modified cargo plane," Alan reported via secure communication. "If it works, we'll have our first FTL-capable vessel within the week." They named the prototype ship Defiance. It wasn't much to look at, essentially an airplane with alien technology grafted onto it. But it represented humanity's first real hope of taking the fight beyond Earth. As Greg studied the tactical situation, he realized they were approaching a turning point. The resistance was growing stronger while alien control was showing cracks. "Select a crew for the Defiance," he ordered. "Their mission will be to make contact with these other resistant species. If we can form an alliance." The implications didn't need to be stated. Alone, humanity might eventually be crushed. But united with other species fighting the Council, they might have a real chance at victory. And on his command ship, a furious Vidoran came to a similar conclusion. These humans were more dangerous than anyone had anticipated. They couldn't be controlled. They needed to be eliminated. Despite council regulations forbidding it, he gave orders to prepare the planet killer weapons. The Galactic Council's alien forces couldn't stop Earth's determined defenders. Part 4 news of Vidoran's plan to use planet killer weapons spread quickly through the alien ranks. Many council officers were shocked. The complete destruction of inhabited worlds was forbidden by the council's oldest laws. It was one thing to conquer or control a species, but genocide was another matter entirely. Captain Amy Rodriguez stood on the bridge of the Resilience, Earth's first proper warship. The vessel had been built using a captured alien hull combined with human and alien technology. Amy commanded a small fleet of similar ships, humanity's new space force. "Message from headquarters, Captain," her communications officer reported. "Our spies in the alien fleet have confirmed it. Vidoran has ordered the deployment of planet killers. They'll arrive in 3 days." Amy's face remained calm, but her hands tightened on the railing. "Send acknowledgement. Then set course for the moon base. We need to coordinate with the other ship captains." On Earth, Colonel Greg Peters called an emergency meeting of all resistance leaders. Some attended in person at the Rocky Mountain headquarters, while others joined via secure communication channels. "We have confirmation," Greg told them. "Vidoran plans to use weapons that can destroy our entire planet. We have 3 days to prepare a defense." Dr. Alan Hayes spoke up from the Australian outpost. "Based on the data Commander Scott retrieved, we believe the planet killers are self-guided weapons. They'll target Earth's core and cause it to become unstable." "Can we stop them?" Kevin Barnes asked from New York. Mary Jackson pulled up technical schematics on the main screen. "Maybe. The weapons themselves are heavily shielded, but they're controlled from command vessels. If we can destroy the command ships, the weapons should deactivate." "That's a big if," Greg said. "We'll need to coordinate our space forces with ground attacks. Every resistance cell worldwide needs to target local alien installations simultaneously. We need to create as much confusion as possible." Meanwhile, aboard his command ship, Vidoran faced unexpected resistance from his own officers. Zarkesh had formally objected to the extinction order. "This violates the founding principles of the Council," Zarkesh argued. "Humans are violent and primitive, yes, but they have potential. Given time, they could become valuable members of galactic society." Vidoran's eyes narrowed. "Your objection is noted and dismissed, Administrator. These humans are not like other species. They refuse to accept their proper place. They continue to resist despite overwhelming odds. They are dangerous and unpredictable." "That doesn't justify their extinction," Zarkesh insisted. "I've made my decision," Vidoran said coldly. "Return to your duties or face charges of insubordination." After Zarkesh left, another officer approached Vidoran. "Sir, he's right about council law. We should at least put this to a vote in the council assembly." Vidoran turned to face the officer. "The assembly is weeks away by FTL communication. By then, these humans could cause even more damage. As Grand Marshal, I have emergency powers to act without assembly approval when facing an immediate threat." What Vidoran didn't know was that Zarkesh had made a decision of his own. After leaving the command ship, he used a secure channel to contact Linda Ortiz in New York. "The Grand Marshal plans to destroy your world," Zarkesh told her. "I disagree with this action, as do many others in the fleet. I can provide information that might help you stop him." Linda was suspicious. "Why would you help us?" "Because extinction is wrong," Zarkesh replied simply. "Because I've observed humans for months now, and I believe your species deserves a chance to develop naturally. And because I fear what Vidoran might do with unchecked power." The information Zarkesh provided was quickly relayed to Resistance headquarters. It included the technical specifications of the planet killer weapons and the command ships that controlled them. Meanwhile, the Defiance had returned from its first mission beyond the solar system. Captain Eric Garner brought extraordinary news. "We made contact with 3 species who are also fighting the Council," Eric reported to Colonel Peters. "They call themselves the Alliance of Free Worlds. When we told them about our situation, they immediately offered help." The meeting room buzzed with excitement as Eric introduced the alien representatives who had returned with him. The first was a crystalline being that glowed with inner light. "I am Kortal of the Photak," it said through a translator device. "My people have been resisting council domination for 60 of your years." Next was a swirling cloud of gas contained in a special environment suit. "I represent the Mir Collective," it said in a melodic voice. "We have technology that might help against the planet killers." The third alien looked almost insect-like, with multiple limbs and compound eyes. "The Vril Hive joins your cause," it clicked. "We bring warriors and ships." Greg Peters looked at the strange assembly with wonder and hope. "Together we might just have a chance." For the next 2 days, humans and their new allies worked feverishly to prepare. The alien representatives shared technology and tactics they had used against the Council. Earth's scientists and engineers worked to integrate these new ideas with their own. Mary Jackson and Dr. Hayes collaborated with the Mir scientists to develop a countermeasure against the planet killers. The Photak provided crystal-based shield technology that could be retrofitted to Earth ships. The Vril brought 12 warships that joined Captain Rodriguez's fleet. On the morning of the third day, long-range sensors detected the approach of Vidoran's planet-killer fleet. "They're coming in from the direction of Mars," Amy reported from the Resilience. 25 ships total. 5 appear to be the command vessels. The rest are escort ships and the planet killers themselves. Colonel Peters addressed all resistance forces worldwide. "This is the moment that will decide the fate of our world. Every human on Earth is counting on us, whether they know it or not. Fight with everything you have." In space, Captain Rodriguez's fleet moved to intercept the approaching alien armada. The human ships were outnumbered, but with their Vril allies they had a fighting chance. "Target the command ships," Amy ordered her fleet. "Ignore the escorts unless they directly threaten you." On Earth, resistance cells launched simultaneous attacks on every alien installation they could reach. The Council forces, already divided over Vidoran's extinction order, struggled to coordinate their defense. Zarkesh and other Council officers who opposed the planet killers took action as well. Some simply failed to carry out orders. Others actively sabotaged equipment or provided misleading information to loyal forces. Commander Olivia Scott led a special strike team with a critical mission. Using Photak stealth technology, they boarded one of the command ships controlling the planet killers. "Our goal is the control center," Olivia told her team as they moved through the ship's corridors. "According to Zarkesh's information, if we can disable the command protocols, all the planet killers linked to this ship will shut down." The team fought their way through alien defenders, suffering casualties but pushing forward. When they finally reached the control center, they found it heavily guarded. "We'll need to create a diversion," Olivia said. She turned to have her team draw their attention while we circle around through the maintenance tunnels. The battle for Earth had begun in earnest, with fighting in space, in orbit, and on the ground. The fate of the planet hung in the balance as humans and their new allies fought against Vidoran's forces. And aboard his command ship, the Grand Marshal watched, with growing fury as his carefully planned extinction mission began to unravel. The Galactic Council's alien forces couldn't stop Earth's determined defenders. Part 5. The battle for Earth reached its peak as Vidoran's planet-killer fleet pushed toward the planet. In space, Captain Amy Rodriguez directed her ships with calm precision despite being outnumbered. "Formation Delta," she ordered. "Concentrate fire on the lead command vessel." The human and Vril ships moved in perfect coordination, focusing their attacks on a single target. The alien vessel's shields flared bright blue under the assault. "Their shields are holding," Amy's tactical officer reported. "Keep firing," Amy said. "We just need to keep them busy long enough for the strike teams to complete their mission." Inside one of the command vessels, Commander Olivia Scott and her team fought their way toward the control center. The diversion had worked, drawing away many of the defenders, but resistance was still fierce. "We're almost there," Olivia said as they approached the final corridor. "Remember, we need to disable the control systems, not destroy them." According to Zarkesh, a complete shutdown would activate the weapon's failsafe mode. At the same time, Lieutenant Ben Carter led another strike team aboard Vidoran's flagship. Their mission was even more dangerous: capture or eliminate the Grand Marshal himself. Security is heaviest around the command deck, Ben told his team as they moved through maintenance shafts. Stick to the plan. We use photak stealth fields until we're in position, then strike fast. On Earth, the ground battle raged across every continent. Colonel Greg Peters coordinated the global resistance from his headquarters, receiving updates from around the world. New York resistance has captured the Manhattan Control Center, a communications officer reported. London is still contested. Sydney and Tokyo report success. Greg nodded. Tell all successful cells to use the captured equipment to jam the command ship's communications. The more confusion we create up there, the better chance our space forces have. In orbit, Zarkesh made his move. He called a meeting of ship commanders who opposed Vidoran's plan. What the Grand Marshal is doing violates everything the Council stands for, Zarkesh told them. We are meant to guide developing species, not exterminate them. I am formally invoking the emergency protocol. The emergency protocol was rarely used, but every Council officer knew it. It allowed for the temporary removal of a commander who was acting against Council principles. We must act now, Zarkesh continued. Withdraw your ships from the battle. Signal the Council headquarters that we protest this action. One by one, the commanders agreed. 5 ships immediately pulled back from the fight, then 10 more. Soon, nearly a third of Vidoran's fleet had stopped fighting. On his flagship, Vidoran watched in disbelief as his fleet began to fragment. What are they doing? He demanded. Order them back into formation immediately. They're not responding, Grand Marshal, an officer replied. They're broadcasting a protest message citing the emergency protocol. Vidoran's face darkened with rage. Traitors! Target those ships and fire! His officers exchanged alarmed glances. Sir, those are Council vessels with Council crews, one said carefully. I gave an order, Vidoran shouted. Anyone who defies me is an enemy. Before the officers could respond, alarms blared throughout the ship. Intruders on the command level, a security officer reported. At that moment, Ben Carter and his team burst onto the bridge, their weapons firing. Most of Vidoran's officers surrendered immediately, seeing an opportunity to escape the Grand Marshal's increasingly erratic commands. Vidoran himself drew a weapon and fired, killing 2 of Ben's team before they could react. Ben dove for cover, behind a control console. Surrender, Grand Marshal, Ben called out. Your fleet is divided. Your plan has failed. Primitive animal, Vidoran snarled. You think you've won? The planet killers are already activated. Even without the command, ships they'll strike Earth within the hour. Ben emerged from cover, his weapon aimed at the alien commander. Then give the abort command now. Vidoran laughed. I would rather see your world burn. He fired again, hitting Ben in the shoulder. Ben fell but managed to return fire. His shot struck Vidoran in the chest. The Grand Marshal staggered but remained standing. You cannot defeat me, Vidoran said, raising his weapon for a killing shot. Before he could fire, one of his own officers shot him from behind. Vidoran collapsed to the floor, mortally wounded. The officer turned to Ben. He was going to destroy us all, the Council will understand. Despite his injury, Ben dragged himself to the control console. We need to abort the planet killer launch. It's too late, the officer said. Once activated, they can only be controlled from the command vessels. Meanwhile, Commander Olivia Scott's team had reached the control center of their target ship. After a brief but intense firefight, they secured the room. Start the shutdown sequence, Olivia ordered one of her tech specialists. Exactly as Zarkesh described. The specialist worked quickly at the alien controls. It's working. The weapons linked to this command ship are powering down. Similar scenes played out on 2 other command vessels where human strike teams had succeeded, but one ship remained operational, its planet killers still active and descending toward Earth. Captain Amy Rodriguez saw an opportunity. With several alien ships now out of the fight due to Zarkesh's intervention, she could concentrate her forces. All ships target the remaining command vessel, she ordered. Everything you've got. The combined firepower of the human and Vril fleet hammered the alien ship. Its shields failed and critical systems began to explode. Their weapon control is still active, Amy's tactical officer warned. The planet killers are still on course. Amy made a difficult decision. Resilience will ram their control center. The rest of you get clear. Her crew began to protest, but Amy cut them off. That's an order. Evacuate to the escape pods now. I'll handle this. As her crew reluctantly abandoned ship, Amy plotted a collision course with the alien vessel. She pushed the engines beyond safety limits, building up speed for maximum impact. The Resilience slammed into the command ship's control center at near relativistic speed. The explosion was visible from Earth's surface, a new bright star briefly, outshining all others. With all command vessels destroyed or disabled, the planet killers drifted harmlessly in space, their guidance systems offline. Earth was saved. In the days that followed, the remaining Council forces surrendered. Without Vidoran's leadership, and with many officers actively supporting Zarkesh's position, they had no will to continue fighting. 1 week after the battle, representatives from Earth met with Zarkesh and delegates from their alien allies. President Lisa Warren spoke for humanity. Today marks a new chapter not just for Earth, but for all species who value freedom, she said. The Galactic Council's attempt to control us has failed. In its place, we propose a new alliance based on mutual respect and cooperation. Zarkesh nodded. I will return to the Council with your proposal. Many members already question our traditional policies toward developing worlds. Your resistance may have changed galactic politics forever. The Alliance of Free Worlds welcomed Earth as its newest member. Technology, knowledge, and cultural exchanges began immediately. Dr. Hayes and Mary Jackson worked with scientists from multiple species to develop new technologies that would benefit all. 1 year later, Admiral John Miller, formerly Captain Miller of the Lunar Observation Post, stood on the bridge of Earth's newest starship. The vessel gleamed with a combination of human ingenuity and alien technology. Its name was proudly displayed on the hull. Determination. Course set for Galactic Council headquarters, his navigation officer reported. We're ready to begin. Earth's first diplomatic mission. John looked out at the stars, remembering that night 1 year ago when he'd first detected the alien ships. So much had changed since then. Humanity had faced extinction and emerged stronger. Not just surviving, but taking its place among the stars. Engage FTL drive, John ordered with a smile. Let's show the galaxy what Earth's determined defenders can do in times of peace. Busami, ship accelerated smoothly, leaving Earth behind as humanity moved forward into a new era of interstellar cooperation and adventure.